Hello and welcome to MetraAV AV Tech Tip Solutions.
Just AV Tech Tips.
AV Tech Tips. You know, I'm rushing the week
You're
already.
ready for it.
I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Welcome aboard. So, Adam, what do we got this week?
Well, first and foremost, everyone, thank you for checking in with us on today's episode. If you are watching us from either Facebook or YouTube, please let us know in the chat. We just started out this new setup with the ability to go live on both. So let us know where you're watching from over in the chat. Either it's over there or down there. I don't know where it's at on Facebook. Over there, it's on YouTube. I know it's over there on YouTube. I don't know where it's at on Facebook.
But after the fact, it's under there.
After the fact, you can leave a comment down in the comment section. And again, since this is live on both, it will stay there after the fact. So if you are watching this after the fact, let us know over and down in the comment section below if you're watching from YouTube or if you're watching from Facebook, or if this got shared out to some other random location. Let us know where you're watching from. We would love to know.
But also, we've made some audio tweaks and changes in how the mix is done.
Yep.
So let us know how that's working for you.
Yeah, let us know if we sound okay or if it's too much or not enough or whatever it is. As far as I know, I've got a very nice baritone, sultry voice or whatever.
Which just is really annoying.
It's just that radio voice. And
I know. For the rest of us,
I have the radio voice, but I also have the radio face.
Well, that's true. Look at this is the face for video.
And you've got the face for radio and the voice for video. So I mean,
I got the voice for nothing. But that's beside the point. What is today's topic, young man? Well, now that you have berated me officially in public.
It's a good start for the day. It's a good start for the day. So on today's topic today, we are talking about automation and security. When is it too much?
Whoa. First off, are we saying when is enough enough?
No.
Because there's no such thing as too much. There's only not enough.
Yes. Yeah, correct. I'll go along with you on that part of it. So this is we got Mark Silver in there watching in from Facebook. Good to see you, Mark. So Facebook works well. Now, so today's topic is kind of an interesting one. Now, now let me back up because, as always, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell notification to let you know whenever we do go live. If you're watching on YouTube, which is of course every Wednesday at 3 p.m. or every Friday at 3 p.m. as well, and that's Eastern time.
For Tech Tip Solutions.
Yep, for Tech Tip Solutions on Friday. So come back and check us out on that. If you're on Facebook, hit the little like, and I think it's a subscribe, or maybe it's just like. I think it's just like on Facebook. Hit the like button, leave a comment, let us know what's going on, and follow us. We're on Facebook there, on our MetraAV
on Twitter,
Facebook
on
site.
Instagram, and
yep.
I have nowhere else. I don't know.
Sure, we're all over. I think we're even on LinkedIn. So all that to say, so today's topic there was an idea inceptioned into my brain.
I saw that movie.
Yeah, right. So what had happened was I was reading CEPro and just browsing their website as I do sometimes, and an article came up about the fact that families of three-person families, so the parents and a single child, have increased their purchasing of smart locks. Was the thing that came up.
Okay,
now,
I have one.
Sure, and there was also some different things. There was an increase in single persons buying locks as well as two persons. There was a decrease in 4 or more.
Really?
Which is kind of an interesting thing. You would think that it'd be the other way around, but there was a slight decrease. So it just moved, right? It moved from the 4s to the 1s and 2s.
Honestly,
kind of
I would have. My assumption is a single person is probably, because it's just them, is going to be high in the technology.
Yes.
And I can get that 4 might be a little less than 3, 2, or 1.
Sure.
But I'm surprised that there was actually a decrease. I thought it would have all gone up, but at varying degrees.
So I think for myself, I think the thing that I would have seen on my end is that as a parent of multiple children, I have 3 kids myself, and as they get older,
I appreciate you carrying that load for me.
Sure, of course. As the children get older, they'll be running in different directions constantly, and so because of that, I would want the ability to make sure that I can lock the front door, regardless of where I am, to make sure that the front door is locked, because they could be going and leaving and coming and whatever. They could be going anywhere. So that's where I would see that thing come up. Now, today's episode is not about that article. However, it is kind of fun. But the idea came up.
Sparked your thoughts.
It sparked a thought for myself. So. If you're looking for it, I think I put the link to the article down below. It's kind of an interesting read, especially if you're selling smart locks of some kind. If you're going out and doing Control 4 or Yale or Kwikset or whatever you're doing, or Ring. I think Ring and a couple others even have their own smart locks now. But read it. It's kind of interesting. But the whole thought process went to how do you automate for more than one person? And I'm not talking about control. So Control 4, Crestron, RTI, URC, Savant, whatever it is, that's a control system. Let's be perfectly honest. It's a control system first. It controls the equipment, right? And it gives you, the user, control of that equipment, is the general concept for it. It has automation capabilities, but it's not an automation system first.
Well, now, it's interesting you bring this up because you and I had a deep discussion on a job that we both work on last week.
Yes.
Where we found something that happened that we did not know why it happened until I happened to be there during the event.
Power outages cause interesting things, don't they?
And this was, we have a job where we have a motorized door over a TV. Now, this was actually created by our own installation department here and utilized some car audio stuff, and periodically the homeowner would go in and the door would be open.
Yeah, the TV lifter would be up,
and we didn't know why. And I yelled it at him, and he says,
it wasn't me.
I swear it's not my
all
programming.
All of my stuff it doesn't do anything like that.
So it turned out that, and I was here when the electrician was doing stuff and flipping breakers. And when it went off and came back on, which power does a lot in Florida, the lift went up. So we started talking about it, and Adam's like, well, I can automate to shut it down.
Right.
But I don't think that's a good idea.
We've also had a little bit of a problem in the past about those lifts shutting down on their own.
And causing their own problems when people are doing service on them.
People underneath of them.
We've put in service lockouts, we've done all kinds of things.
Yes.
But since the people never remember to do that.
Yeah, it still causes problems.
It just still causes problems. So it's like, no.
Yeah.
And that's a case of control versus automation.
Now, that did inspire a fix for that problem too, if you remember correctly. But that's still, we still don't like the idea of it closing.
The difference is automation, it would close on its own after detecting the change.
Yes.
Versus control.
Right.
When, okay, it's up, I don't like it, I want it down.
Right.
And I was willing to forego automation on that one for safety.
Yes. Yes, and that also kind of, that very well easily marries with the topic today, because the whole idea is, if anybody who's gone through the Control 4 training or is on the Control 4 forums or anything else like that, you may know Jacob Whipple. He's the trainer who trains over in the North Carolina area. Hey, Leo, good to see you in the chat.
Hi, Leo.
So he covers the North Carolina area for training, or used to anyways. I don't know how things have changed since I haven't gone in a while, and also with things going on with things going on in the world. So one of the things that was interesting is that he's a single person living in his own apartment. Of course, he has Control 4 in there because he's the Control 4 trainer, and so he gets all the product and he gets to see
he doesn't have
new
Fast
things
or Fox or
yeah, of course,
Fox,
yeah. He's got what was that?
Yeah.
What was that one that Stuart was talking about that had the touchscreen CRT?
Well, Mitsubishi had one back in the 80s.
Right, but did it have outputs on it to where you could trigger something to happen off of it? Oh, okay, yeah. See, there you go. So anyway, so he's got Control 4 in there, and he's got some really cool automation. Things like the blinds open at a certain time. He has room awareness for which room he's in, so music follows him around.
Which is awesome when you live alone.
Exactly, when you live alone. But there's a problem with that. As soon as you add one more person to that situation, the room audio following you around the house kind of a thing falls apart. Because let's say this: you wake up in the morning, you go to the kitchen, you start your audio, and it starts following you wherever you go. Right now. The other person in the house, it wakes up and they come in and they're doing their own thing. Maybe they're listening to music, maybe they're not, whatever it is. But at some point, you both come to the same room. Now, unless you have like an RFID chip embedded in your arm, or you have a band or something like that has your identification of some kind for it, whoever leaves first, the system has no idea who's still in the room and who left.
Well, all that aside, let's just take a typical married couple.
Sure.
Who gets priority?
Right, they're both listening to music. They come into the same room. What happens now?
Who gets priority? And
right.
At least after in my marriage, I can tell you who it was and who it wasn't.
Of course, yeah, of course, yeah,
But,
of course, yeah. So, and that kind of sparked that thing where I know how to do these things. I again, going through the Control 4 training, getting the experience. Josh AI kind of does this. It's not perfect, but it's and I don't think it's perfected yet. Or even set up yet correctly. I'll have to do some looking into it. I'll have to ask Austin. I think he's messed around with it. But anyways, the whole idea for this is it's I know how to do it. I know the programming language that it takes to do this, and I've always thought about reaching out to the client that I've had and say, hey, would you like this as a thing? And I have asked it in the past, and usually they say, yeah, I would like that, but what's it going to take to do it?
Okay, well, let's take another option.
Sure.
You and I both heard a statement yesterday. It's like, well, the lights don't go off at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And the case that we're talking about, there's 3 houses involved, and 2 of the houses they do because you're never there.
Right.
And one of the houses they don't. Now,
Right.
here's the thing. Every one of those houses has a vacation switch,
Yes.
which if they turn that on when they leave, does that.
Right. It automates the lights to come on and off.
At that point, it's automation.
Correct. Yeah.
But they never remember, and nobody ever does. That's the thing.
Of course.
So on 2 of the 3 houses, because they're never there,
Yep.
10% of the time or less, I can have the lights go out.
Yeah.
With automation.
Right.
Without control, say, okay, I want the lights to go out varying times so it looks like somebody's in the house.
Yes, of course.
But in the primary house, I'm afraid to have the automation because it will not be at the time they want it to be.
Right.
Day to day.
Right.
And now there is still a control override, but they have to remember to engage.
Yes.
Much like the TV lift.
Yes.
If
Now,
nobody remembers it.
I have done a system like this. I had a client who had a condo on the beach, and it was a vacation condo where the family would come down and visit. And they had it was a Yale door lock or whatever that was tied in through Zigbee to the Control4 system, and it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. Actually, it was very nice. But what would happen is that when they put their key in and opened it, or if they used the code on the door to unlock the door, what's happened inside is I had some outlets that were controlled that were already turned off, and as soon as they put the key in and unlocked it, or unlocked it with the keypad, that would trigger those outlets to turn on. Because it was controlling things like an HD-based extender, it was a Roku here and there, it was the Blu-ray player, it was a few items that they booted up fast enough even after a period of time
them being off.
that you don't notice it, but they're not draining power for no reason, right? And it helps to conserve the device.
Vampires.
Well, it turns off the vampires, but it also conserves the device itself because it's not just sitting there idle for months at a time when no one's using it, and so then when they do get there and start trying to use it, now it's not working. So,
which also is not good.
Which is also not good. So it was nice because I tested it to make sure that the turn on would happen at the correct amount of time. I unlocked the door, swung it open, and speed walked into the living room as quick as I could, grabbed the remote, hit the button to turn it all on, and by the time that I hit the button, everything was already turned on, powered on correctly, and working.
Now, and that's useful automation.
Yeah.
Now so with the lighting, I've tried a couple of different things. For example, I would try, okay, if they've used any of the TV controls, channel up, channel down, data entry, anything like that, it would turn off.
Yes.
But the drawback is then they wanted, well, can the TVs work when we're not here so it looks like somebody's...
You're right. Right.
So as soon as you throw that equation in there, or they're just out on the back patio and the TVs aren't used.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's used. They're out back there relaxing, enjoying. So there's nothing to trigger, yes, we're home.
Right.
Okay, we'll try motion sensors. Okay. That is not always as effective as you would like either.
No. Now,
and
going back to...
I love the automation concept.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all do. I mean, that's the thing. As programmers, as designers and stuff, we all love the idea of doing this for our clients. It's just implementing it the correct way. And so actually what I'm looking for, I'm going to put a call out. Have you, as an installer, done any kind of automation? And
not control.
By the way, also to any of our DIY viewers that are watching that are not necessarily dealers or integrators yourselves, but you do some DIY stuff with maybe some off-brand or some, not off-brand, but some DIY items. Yeah.
Control items, not
are
control
you doing
for a
something?
restaurant.
What are you doing for an automation? Specifically, I'm looking for the ones where it's not just one person. If you are just one person, I want to hear that also. But if you're not, if there's multiple people, I want to hear from you. Either reach out to me directly on my contact information here, or if you would leave it down in the comments and down in the chat, I would love to hear from you as what you're doing and how you made it work correctly. Because, again, the way that I'm using that in that condo is when they would then leave, I would start, as soon as that lock is locked, I would start a countdown. And that countdown was for 48 hours. After 48 hours, the system would then go into that away mode where all those outlets would turn off, everything would shut down, and now we're in away mode. And because when you're here vacationing, you may go out and then come back, and usually it's within 24
turn the key,
hours.
it resets.
We're correct, yeah, when it shuts off that timer. And that worked out really well. In fact, it's still running to this day, and I have yet to get a phone call about it because it's still working correctly.
I have Ring cameras at my house along with the spy clocks. So I have automation tied into those. So when I pull into the drive, turns on the light inside the garage, turns on the outside lights, because I don't turn them on when I'm not home. I do have some RGB lights on the wall, but they're on a timer. They're just always on. So the garage light comes on, the foyer light between the garage and the house come on, the house lights come on the hallway. That's automatic. If they're already on, you know, because it's through Crestron triggered on a I/O off of the Ring to the Amazon to the, you know. No issues. But the music thing, automating music, becomes incredibly problematic for me. Number one, I don't know what I'm going to listen to every day when I wake up. I really don't. And number two, if you have somebody else in the house, what you're listening to
may not be what they're listening to.
May not be what they want to listen to. And so separating control from automation for me becomes very important.
So I've also thought of, there's ways that you can do things with your phone. Now, everyone has a phone today. Barring children that are young enough to where they don't have a phone.
What is that?
And that's the other thing, because most children nowadays do have phones, and that's a thing. So, but the problem is that not everyone carries it with them all the time. Maybe they leave it, maybe they plug it in upstairs, and they left it in that area. Now, the system would still operate as it normally would, as a control system, you know, in that fashion, but using the phone as a way to track where that person is. You have the ability, there's certain apps and stuff that will give you that.
There's something that bothers me. Track.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already had enough, and this is part of the problem with automation is who else is tracking you? We all know that, in fact, we were having this discussion this morning about Amazon, what you watch, which room you watch it in. Because you do label your devices. So they know, are you watching television in the bedroom device? In the living room device, in the media room device, what shows and gender plays a role into what's watched in a given area.
We were talking about that with Target, and how Target has the ability through an algorithm, they know whether or not someone's pregnant.
See, that scares me.
And it is. And the thing is that going to Amazon wants to know what you're watching, when you're watching it, and where you're watching it. Not necessarily because they want to track you and because they want to.
They just want to make more money off you.
They just want to make more money off you, because if you all of a sudden, you know, if you are, okay, take this as an example. Every day you go home, you turn on on your Amazon Fire, you watch something there in the living room until 7:30, which then you turn it off and you go upstairs and you go to bed. Maybe you turn on a movie upstairs. And I know. Go with me on this. So then what they found is that you do that every day, 5 days a week. And then there's some days when you purchase something off of Amazon Prime that says you purchase this or whatever it is at some time, and maybe you've done this once or twice, but your routine has changed. Let's say, for instance, on the days that you purchase something off of Amazon, you come home and immediately go to your bedroom to watch something instead of watching it downstairs. And that's when you purchase something off of Amazon. Amazon wants to know that, because you may get a notification of some kind that says, hey, this item's on sale.
Based on where
you watched it. Yes. It's frightening, I know, and this is not an episode to talk about those items necessarily as, is that too much or anything like that. But the thing is that that's an important thing, and that's a way of automation and tracking.
That is legitimate automation.
Yes, exactly. Austin, that's true. So we've got a Mr. Austin Noonan in the chat today.
He actually showed up?
He showed up, yeah. We got Austin Noonan in the chat.
Well, that's because he's not working for a living now.
Well, that's, yes. So, anyways, all that to say, we've got a, with that setup, I mean, you kind of have an issue where when do you do this stuff? I mean, other than the fact that when you put it in your own home, right? So everyone who's doing installations and stuff, you know, hopefully you've had the ability to put the system in your house.
Who has time?
When you have time, that elusive free time, wherever that is.
What did you get for Christmas from me?
Oh yeah, the Switch.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it installed?
No.
No, it's not.
No. You know when it's going to get installed?
I have no clue.
Eventually.
And that's eventually.
Free time and eventually are all kind of in that same area, right? Yes.
Ask me when the last time I actually programmed my Crestron was.
Oh yeah, that's even worse.
3 or 4 primary sources ago.
Yes, exactly.
So, and this is embarrassing, but when I go to use one of my sources, I have to open the door.
And you reach out behind you. Oh, that is embarrassing, Brent.
And that's in the theater.
That is pretty embarrassing.
But when do
Yes, exactly. Now, so here's the thing. Let's say you've had the opportunity to then try this and build something for yourself or for your family or whatever it is. What's the now that you've done that? What next? I mean, and how do you make that work? Because here's the thing: out of anyone that I know, my wife is the one who hates control and automation systems more than anyone. You think it's hard to convince a client to purchase equipment or to put something in that they're spending money to put it in? If I can convince my wife to do any of those things, and there's no cost involved
than in most cases for us there isn't. It's just time.
It's just time. It's just doing it. My wife absolutely hates it, and so the thing is that in order for me to do that, I have two requirements. It has to work as it worked before. That's requirement number one.
That's fair.
That's fair, right? It has to work as though it worked before. So for me, if I'm doing any kind of actual automation stuff. So for instance, Christmas lights. If you put Christmas lights on a timer, that is automation. If you go out and you buy the old school little outlet, thing, the little timer that goes in there, it's got the little push down things.
That is the absolute definition of automation.
That's an automation device, right? So something like that.
Once you're done, you walk away and it does its own thing.
Right. Now, all the other stuff, if you do any kind of automation, that's one of my requirements, is that any automation has to be able to be overridden by the normal operation of the equipment.
A fair requirement.
Right? And that's usually easily done. You just have to build something else in there to ensure the system knows that someone is actually controlling it. And that's where that timer comes in for like the lock, right? Mm-hmm. So when they locked it, that started the automation. As soon as they locked, it's not after 48 hours it started. Nope. As soon as they locked it, technically that started the automation because now we're on a timer.
So it's the event.
Correct. So once they lock it, now the overriding event can be the fact that they unlocked it, right? I actually had to build an additional thing into it to where this was a requirement that the customer had to understand. The timer only started when they used the key. If anybody has the Yale lock from Control 4 where you can touch it and it locks it versus using the key, luckily there's two different programming. Those are two different programming events that you can base stuff off of. In order to start that program, he has to use the key and lock it. And that starts the 48-hour countdown.
Oh, not just the auto-locking function.
Because I found out, I interviewed him. I found out, hey, when you leave for the day and you're just doing whatever and you lock the door, how do you lock the door? Do you press your hand to the back of it to lock it? Or do you use the key? Oh, I use the back of my hand every time.
I would too.
Right? Because it's quick. I'm already here. I'm just going to do it that way. And in most cases, he's just going to the beach or he's jogging or doing something else where he doesn't want to take his keys to begin with. That's why he has the number pad. It's also in a condo, so if the batteries die or something else, he can get the master key from downstairs, right? So that's really good because that means that now I can program based on the fact that he's always going to use it that way. So on the lock, that starts the 48-hour countdown. If he uses his hand to lock it,
resets the lock.
It doesn't start any countdown. Now, because what if someone, maybe he's leaving his daughter or son inside the condo and he's going to go to the grocery store and he just has his keys because he's going to be driving the car, so he just locked it real quick because that starts, or no, pardon me, he's touched his hand to it because he's just going to the store really quick and coming back, but there's still people inside. Well, let's say he's going away for a long period of time and no one comes out of there because they don't need to come out for whatever reason, over a 48-hour period. That means that all of a sudden they're going to be sitting there watching TV and it's going to shut off after 48 hours. So I had to program into that to say, okay, only when he uses the key does it actually shut down.
We're back to, I've got you got that automated door lock now that I'm testing. Mm-hmm. It's fingerprint based.
Yeah.
I have not even used the code on it.
Yeah.
I've never used the code on it. Mm-hmm. The girl that feeds the dog has until I got her fingerprints programmed in, but
yeah.
So it just,
yep.
And it came down to time. So originally I had it set to 5-minute auto lock.
Yes.
And I got to thinking about that. 5 minutes is a long time. Mm-hmm. So I'd shortened it to 1. Now, it's going to go back up to something else because all I know is 1 minute's just long enough for me to go out the garage, take the garbage out of the garage, down to the street, get back, and my door's locked.
Yep. Somewhere along the way that it's locked itself. 1 minute was too short.
So it's too short. But automation, it's true automation, meaning there's no, once it's done, you're done with it. You have no control of it.
Yeah.
Is tough to get right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where true automation is something that you build and it runs and it's good.
It's one thing, okay, every night at 45 minutes before sunset, the lights come on. Mm-hmm. which is fair because
Sure.
you know what? The sun's going down, the house is a little dark inside. That's true automation.
Yeah.
Every, at midnight, these lights go off and just these stay on outside.
Yeah.
Except on Friday and Saturday when you might go out to dinner, it stays on until later.
Yeah.
True automation, because at no point have you done anything.
Right. Leo, real quick, you'll like this one. Leo says that a lamp timer has saved his life on the cable box more times than he can count. Cable box with a timer on it, so the HDMI fix or whatever.
Yep. I had one happen to me recently that completely threw me because on one of the jobs, there is a timer that shuts off the primary lights and leaves just one or two on and leaves the outside on until midnight, and then half of those go off.
Yes.
There was a call that the internet was slow.
Sure.
So I go by to reset it, and I get to the house. There's not a single light on.
I remember
It's
this.
like 8:15, 8:30. It's early in the night. There's not a single light on.
Yeah.
Which I have never seen that house.
Right.
Pitch ever.
Right.
Except for power outages. Like, oh crap.
Yeah. What's going on?
What's going on? And I tried to get in. The door lock codes have been changed. Like, Fortunately, the back door hadn't been changed. So I get in to see what's going on. The alarm's set. Now it's like, I triggered the alarm. They were home. They said to go to bed early and literally turned off everything in the house, which I had never seen them do before.
Right.
And so I thought there was a major problem.
Yes.
No, we just all off. And there is an all off that's meant for me from a testing purpose.
Yes. Now, so with this system, and actually real quick, Mark Silver makes some good points. He says it makes sense to develop a questionnaire asking the customer for detailed expectations of what they want from their home automation system. And I agree with that. However, I will say this, clients may not be the most, not on purpose, may not be the most truthful. And it's not so much that they're doing it on purpose. They're not trying to lie to you.
They just don't remember what they're doing.
They don't remember how they function. Because in most cases, even for yourself, if you think about it, you function in a way where it's just I'm going to do this. And sometimes your function doesn't even register that you've done it because it's just part of your everyday thing to do. So the expectations document, I think that's a really important thing to have.
I'm going to ask Jason. Jason, do you do any automation in your house? Do you do any automation in your house, Jason?
Sir. No.
Okay.
No.
Just curious.
So with that said, there's also in that document, you have to understand that you need to be ready to add your own stuff to it, but also don't hold your clients to the document. That's the important part, because there's certain things that your clients can be like, I never said that, or I never did that. Now you have the document to go back and say, oh, you did, and that's why I programmed it based off it. That's important also, especially when you're trying to
But they don't
set
want to get slapped in
expectations.
the face. They don't want to hear I told you so.
No, and the thing is that you need to try to work around those things. And I think, but again, that's really important to do. He's also saying it's also good to have a list of operations you include in most installs. Yes. I think that as a company, you should have certain things that you always do for automation. I think that's it. Of course, with the clients, okay, you can say, hey, these are all the things that we normally do for automation. We do the front, let's keep with lighting, the front porch light, and all of our systems, we program it to come on at dusk and turn off at midnight or whatever it is, or 3 a.m. or something.
Right, so that way every job, your programmers understand the basics so they can look at it and say, something's wrong here and this is why.
Yes, and you're right, Mark, documentation. Documentation has saved many a butts.
And dollars.
And dollars. So going back to the program that I had is, I took it a step further, because all these thought process that I had was, and I'm going to say two things here. First is that sometimes you're carrying all of your luggage out of the vacation place and you don't have the ability to reach into your pocket to grab the key and lock the door, right? Because you're leaving, you're going home, you're carrying everything, the kids are running around, whatever it is. So,
I don't have that issue.
I understand. I'm hypothetically for you. It's
hypothetical. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, right. So when you're walking out and you lock the door with the back of your hand, well, now the timer isn't counting because you've locked it with the back of your hand. So now all of the savings and capabilities and security of shutting down that system are now gone because now they haven't done that. So here's what I did. I had a backup I put a backup program into this. And this kind of goes to what Mark was saying before about having that documentation of the expectations. My expectations from the client were that he was always going to lock the door with the key whenever he left, whenever he was done being there.
That's a big expectation.
That's a pretty big expectation, because guess what? All that stuff that I just did now isn't functioning because they didn't lock the door correctly.
No. They didn't lock the door the way you wanted them to lock the door, not correctly.
Here's what I did. I went ahead and put in there a week's timer, a week-long timer. Because, look, if you're here for an entire week, at some point you are going to be leaving the condo for some reason, to just look out the front door for something or whatever it is. You're going to go to the store to get milk or something. You're going to leave the condo. So I put a week-long timer on that. So whenever they lock the door with the back of their hand or the palm or whatever, that starts the week-long timer. Ensures that over a week-long period of time, when it gets to the end of that week, the system's going to go into its vacation mode or its away mode, to where now everything's shut down.
No other events happened.
Nothing else happened. And in fact, I did put one extra thing in there that said that if any event happens inside, restart that timer. Because let's say for some reason someone is there and they hit the TV button to turn it on. That resets that timer back to the week-long thing, because maybe there's some weird fluke of something happens and the remote fell on the floor and hit one of the buttons. Something like that, something silly like that. But the thing is that's still a possibility. But it still restarted. It didn't stop the timer, it restarted the timer. So at the end of that, it was all up, it was going, and after a week-long period of time, I would know that from that point, at least a week later, the system will have shut down. And that's a way to kind of work around that. And I thought that was a really cool way to do that. Now, the problem with, again, going back to the problem with automation systems, you can have an issue where that works really well in that instance. However, for a person's home where they're living there 99.99% of the time, that type of setup probably isn't going to work, because they're there 99.99% of the time.
It's like turning lights off.
Yeah.
Turning on is easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doing basic outdoor stuff. Okay, I'm going to shut the primary lights off at midnight. We'll leave the garden lights on or whatever, just in case they come in late.
An easy one. Closets. When you, if you have a closet door. No. Well, you did. I didn't have an. Yeah. Well. Yeah. You drove the Miata. If you put a sensor on the door, or if you put like a motion sensor just inside the closet, when they walk into the closet, the lights come on. Now, here's the thing. The cool thing about the closet is that, especially a motion sensor, you're doing something in the closet. You're moving in the closet in some fashion, right? And so because of that, the sensor continues to sense motion, and so it just keeps restarting the timer until the time about
That's true. I cannot
15 minutes
imagine
later,
a day goes by if I'm home that I'm not in my closet.
Moving in the closet, right? And the thing is that when you go in the closet, then start a timer for 15 minutes, because after 15 minutes, you turn that light back off, right? And so that way you can have true automation for something like that. And that's a very contained space, right?
I can see that's a good way to handle that,
right?
Because you have to go in your closet every day, unless you're just going to go filthy for a week.
Sure. Or you just never put your clothes away.
I don't live like that.
No.
Okay. No. They come out of the dryer, they get folded. I'm still.
Ladies, Brent is available, and he puts his clothes away.
And I also iron my sheets.
You iron your sheet. Why did you say that live on air?
Just the top part, because I don't like wrinkles. I see them enough when I look in the mirror. But I iron the top edge of the sheet and the pillowcases.
Okay, so
it's sad, isn't it?
Well, you listen. Sometimes I have no comments. So here's the deal. When you are doing automation systems, I'm really curious to see what you're doing. And I think that security can also come into play with this.
Absolutely.
Because, again, security...
That was the original automation.
Correct. Security is an automation system. It's the whole idea that when you leave the house and you arm the house, or when you're home, depending on home or away status, when you arm the system, it's automated to now when an intrusion is detected, it's going to go off. It's going to trigger the alarm. It's going to do something with that. And so with security, you can run into these same situations where you have an automation built into it to where it triggers. And this has happened to me many times where it actually happened to me one time where I was integrating an alarm system, into Control 4. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
I was integrating the alarm system into Control 4, and there was miscommunication on the device. It's that I think it's, I forget who makes it. It's just the integration device for RS-232 to the 485 that the panel was using. But basically,
you set the alarm
that
off.
integration was incorrect how I was doing it, and I triggered the alarm instead. And so it's 9:30 at night. I'm working on the project off in the laundry room, and all the lights are off in the rest of the house, and the doors are pretty well shut and everything. And I'm just tapping away and working on that, and all of a sudden I hear, don't, Ormond Beach Police. I'm like, what?
So was there a little puckering going on?
There was a little bit, because the thing was, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not the owner of this house. I'm here at 9:30 at night, and I'm just kind of sitting here
in the dark.
Well, all right, I guess we'll see what happens. And they came in.
Sadly, they're a professional police department, and you didn't get the whooped out of you.
Well, and they when they came in, they said they declared who they were. I didn't yell back. I said, "Hi, I'm in this room. I'm back here. I'm just doing some work." Kind of a thing, and it was okay. But here's the thing: that automation of that system failed me.
No. Okay, I failed the automation.
I failed the automation. However, but that's the thing, because you can create these problems also in that, let's say, for instance, because there are some security systems where you may have it built in that there's a timer of some kind. Mm-hmm. And when you set this timer as you leave in the morning, okay, we'll take this as an example. Husband and wife situation. The wife is leaving for the day and the husband isn't up yet or whatever it is, and that's their normal routine every day. So when she leaves, she hits the alarm to arm it because he's still home, whatever it is. And now, for some reason, he gets a wild hair and decides to do something outside of the normal routine. Because we're human. We all have routines, but we all go outside of those routines and screw up the automations that are set up around us. And then he walks through the house and triggers the alarm, and now it's all screwed up.
Okay, let's take you for example. You moved into a beautiful home. You guys have a swimming pool. Life is great. We've all seen your wonderful new life on video.
Yes.
But your wife was stuck at home with COVID for 2 weeks,
yes.
3 weeks.
Yes.
So had you had your world set up to her normal routine,
right.
How would you have adapted?
It would have fallen apart. The thing is the automations for her would have been completely different because she was going and doing and being so many different things. The things that she normally is, right.
She wasn't.
Right.
And this is, as an industry, we walk a thin line between automation and control.
Yes.
I have automation.
Yes.
But I prefer control.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people that have major automation that are comfortable with it. I'm not. Mm-hmm. But it's also because I'm fairly lazy and don't want to take the effort to make it happen in my house.
Well, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So I want to hear from you. What are you doing for automation for your own system, for a client? I want to hear what you're doing because honestly, I like getting inspired. I like playing around with automation systems like this. Some of the fun ones that I like to see is like the bathroom light at night. So between the hours of like 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., the bathroom light, when you walk in and you hit you trigger it to go on, it doesn't turn on all the way. It goes up to 30% or something like that.
My house is like that, for example.
Right.
And one of the, as a Crestron programmer, one of the things I've done is for outside pool audio, stuff like that, so as to not upset the neighbors, particularly if the homeowner has kids, is I will change the max volume limit based on the time of the day.
Yes.
So after 9 p.m., for example, they can't go to what is 90% of the actual amplifier. They still see the bar graph is showing 90.
Yep.
But now it's a lot lower max volume.
Right.
So they don't upset the neighbors.
Right.
Now, all they see on the touchscreen is it's still 95, and let's face it, it's like, ooh. Because it's psychosomatic, but the reality is it's not outputting the volume levels it did at 8 o'clock at night.
So you modified the not the HDR
no, when
curve,
you look
but I don't know. What I'm saying is I'm making a funny correlation here. You created a new what was it we talked to David about the HDR curve? It's not the HDR curve. It's
FRO curve.
No. It's the one where it's the tone mapping.
Yes,
you created
I changed the tone mapping.
Yeah, you changed the tone mapping for it. So now 90% wasn't actually 90%. It was actually 50% or whatever.
For lighting programming, for example, you can set a maximum light level, and you should never go beyond about 95% of any load.
Right.
Even though the homeowner thinks it's 100.
Yes.
is still only 95 or 90.
Yes. Yes.
And it's the same thing with Crestron programming. I could drop, instead of it going to the amplifier's theoretical, here's my threshold limit, you now lower it down to this, and they still see it as the same operational parameters.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So what I want to see is some true automations, because the thing is that automations with multiple people, a single person, again, you know your life, and especially if you've created the automation yourself, you can work around your own automation that you've created. But as soon as you add in an additional person to that system, it changes it.
Even if it's a guest.
Yeah, even if it's a guest, it completely changes it. And guests are an entirely new unknown to these things.
Oh yeah, well, one of the Advantage Control 4 offers is from panel to panel to panel. It's basically the same panel.
Yes.
With minor, okay, I have this button here and it's called this, and this button here it's called that. But with Crestron, it's fully dynamic.
Customizable. Yeah, yeah.
And so I got to the point that when I did a job for a family, regardless of their home, they all were the same because of this. But guests are problematic. So it's like, okay, you want to give somebody the things they want, but you also want to make it simple enough so that somebody who's never seen it.
Here's an automation that you've done that I like.
Okay.
Bathroom fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes.
You know where I'm going with this. So in the system that you designed, the bathroom fan is on a controlled switch, as well as the lighting is in that same area. So when you walk in and you hit the on button to turn it on to, well, it's the warm button, but when you turn on the lights in there, the fan current turns on also.
Not instantly though.
I did not know that.
The fan has a delay. And why does the fan have a delay?
I don't know.
Because in most cases, you're not polluting the room in the first 4 minutes.
Okay.
But so it can be, you can walk in, wash your hands, whatever, and it's still quiet.
Sure. Okay.
But if you're going to pollute the room, for lack of a better phrase, there's actually a 5-minute delay before the fan starts.
Now, there's also, if you've been in there long enough, when you turn off the lights and you leave the room, the fan stays running for 5 minutes. Now, if I remember correctly, you also had it built into where if you hit it twice, it turns off the fan immediately?
Yes.
Yes. So there's the thing. That's an automation that you have the ability to completely control and bypass, because it just operates that way. And that's one of those things that it's not even really a thought process automation, right?
For the consumer.
Right. And that kind of goes in line with the closet light. That's something that
it's simple.
Just functions.
In my opinion, anytime you turn on the stovetop, the exhaust fan should come on low.
Right.
They don't, because they're not tied together.
Sure.
But they should be.
Yeah.
Because if I'm cooking something on my stove,
the fan
should be on.
The exhaust should be there. Yeah.
Bare minimum. Then I have the option to change it.
Yeah. Austin's saying a toe kick night light for the bathroom. That one's pretty good. So you run your foot underneath of it.
I like that, but I also like motion sensors under the beds.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
So when you get up,
the little motion
turns on. Yeah. The motion turns on little LEDs under the bed, and I generally give that 15 minutes. Because that gives you time to go to the bathroom and do, because you're stumbling around anyway.
Yeah. So all of these are small automation. I'm going to call them small automation.
And they are automation because there's no interface required from you other than I got up.
Yeah. Now, and I'm calling it small automation simply because it's usually 1 or 2 devices that are automated in that case. And so, for instance, it's a light, or it's a fan, or it's a something like that.
Things like the job you and I work on faces the East Coast. And so there are turtle light requirements.
Yes.
So the lights cannot be on the east side of the building certain months of the year.
Yes.
So built into the lighting programming, those lights never come on.
Right.
They cannot even be turned on manually.
Right.
Because you don't want somebody to go, oh, yeah, I want the patio lights on. And then you wind up with a big fine from the city.
It's a very large fine.
Yeah, it's a very large fine for small.
Which it should be.
Yes.
Let's do that.
So that's pure automation, because that's not a control function they do.
Right. Now, I would call that like a large automation, because we're controlling multiple lights and multiple lighting loads in that series.
Different aspects.
And we're doing it based on a wide span of time.
It's a specific timing criteria, yes. And each year I actually have to verify the dates.
Yes.
I don't mind it going on a little early, but you don't want it, you don't want to engage 2 weeks early.
No.
You don't want it to go off too soon, because the turtle season varies from year to year.
Right. So these are all things that you can do for that. Now, the super big automation where we're doing like following a person from room to room kind of a thing, it's doable. You can do it, and it has been done in the past. But again, as soon as you add that additional person,
Who takes priority?
Who takes priority, and how do you know to track that one person throughout all of it? I want to see, and I have seen people do like a band or of something on the wrist, or maybe something that's tied into like a piece of clothing, or whatever it is.
Oh, your little Star Trek-y thing going on there?
Something like that. Yeah, have like a little pager or something like that. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry about that. But the thing is that having it to where it can track that person is great. I think honestly, it's a cool feature. Now, of course, the idea of tracking, we talked about that, and the fear of that. Now we know as an integrator, if we build something ourselves for tracking purposes, we know where it goes because we know how it operates. It's not going to go somewhere that it shouldn't, in theory, anyways. Now,
Josh AI could be locally contained.
Yes, Josh AI,
which is nice.
Even Control 4. If you were to do just, they have little RFID readers that just have contact closure on them.
But as soon as you engage a Google or an Apple Home,
of course, that's going to go. Yes, that's going to change things. Now, in an automation like that, again, I'm looking for a way to do that. Not because I have a problem with it. They chip animals. Yes, they do. They do chip animals, and someone has done that. They actually put it. Yeah, of course. You know where I am at all times. They put a chip in their, like, close to their elbow. It's like up here in some of the thin skin right there, so that as they walk through the doorway, it's the reader is at that height to read that. There's also a fun thing that you can do with curtain sensors. I'm gonna go here really quick and do this.
Oh, we're gonna do some drawings?
Yeah, just a little bit. So I want to see that. There we are. So they do some really cool things. So there's a doorway like that, right? And so what they'll do with the automation is they'll have a curtain sensor on this side that emits out this way, and a curtain sensor on this side that emits out that way. Because when you walk through, when someone...
So they know which room you're entering or exiting.
Which one you're exiting or entering. So when you walk through, you're going to break that line first, and then you're going to break that line second. So you go through this one first, and then it hits that one second. So we know that a person is going that direction. And that's kind of an interesting concept for doing that. Now, of course, that means that you need 2 of those sensors for every single door that you want the automation to be functioning in, which...
Why?
Huh?
Why do you need 2?
Because you need to put it on either side of the door, at each doorway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you meant 2 per side.
No, yeah,
Total
correct. No,
2,
yeah,
yes.
you need a total of 2. And so again, it's some really cool automation things that you can do with that, but it adds so much cost to it. It adds so much time to it. And again, we run into the problem of how do we ensure that the automation continues to function the way that it should when weird things happen or if multiple people are involved. Things like, I've seen it to where you can do lighting scenes through a hallway. So when someone enters the hallway, the lights cascade on and then cascade off behind them.
I've been looking at doing that walking down my sidewalk. So when the car pulls up, it starts, okay, I know it's going to take me X amount of time, so the lights kind of,
right.
Because I love that.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
The emotional effects of that are just so cool.
Yeah.
Now, and there's enough serial and IP controlled relay devices out there that with just spending the time doing the wiring, you can do that.
It's doable. Now, here's the problem with that. Let's say we finally get to the point where we come to blows and I break a leg of yours. What are you going to, when you start walking up the walkway now with your crutches, that got pretty violent, right? That got pretty violent pretty quickly.
You're carrying me,
okay,
so
but I'm carrying you pretty slowly because I don't have the strength to carry you up your walkway. Here's the thing. You measured the time that it takes for you to walk normally up that walkway. Now that we're walking slowly
it's still going to be lit. I don't care if you fall.
Got pretty violent there pretty quickly, didn't
You're just assuming I care.
So, with that, again, I want to see what you've done. I want to hear what you've done. Yeah. I'd love to see it. If you have video of it, send it to me. I mean, honestly, send it to me directly. Adam.Rogers@MetraAV. You can send it to Brent at Brent.McCall@MetraAV.
Or our phone numbers. You can text it to our phone numbers.
Yep, you can text us the videos to our phone numbers as well, 386-202-6132.
Or 6137.
There you go. And, of course, you can call us on our tech support line, 386... where is our tech support line? Ta-da! There we are. 386-492-8584 is our tech support line right there. Yeah, and of course, Mark, I will share it with you if they send it to us. And also, everyone, if you have... Can I not do that anymore? Oh, it won't let me put it up on the screen. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I will share it. When that happens, I will share it with everybody as well. So let us know. Let us see what you've got. I love seeing stuff like that. Share this video out.
Yeah,
because,
please nerd us.
Yeah, share it out with whoever you can think of that's doing some cool automation stuff. Get them this video because I'd love to see that.
And how close are we to 2,000?
We passed it.
We did.
We did.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, and all of our new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing and checking out our videos. We really appreciate you. We did pass the 2,000 subscriber mark. Yep. Yes, we did. 2,000. I told you about that.
No. We were 4 short. We were 4 short. You did not tell me.
We passed it on Monday. We were at 2006 on Monday.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. So thank you everybody who subscribed.
Thank you. Not so much thank you.
Well, continue to share our videos out. We would appreciate that for some more subscribers. I would like to see us hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think it's
doable. End of the year, I think it's doable in 6 months.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. So everybody, thank you so much for doing that. And then we'll go from there, everybody.
And you know, if you're using, obviously, Crestron Control 4, but there's lots of other control systems out there. Let us know what you're using and how you're using it. I use a number of outboard relay panels for a lot of stuff that are either serial or IP controlled.
Yeah.
I've also used IOs with Alexa.
Yes.
Which, not as reliable as what you and I do in the world of Crestron or Control 4. And remembering commands can be sometimes iffy, but if they're event driven.
Yes.
You know, you go through a ring light or something like that.
Yes.
That's event driven. They're reasonably effective.
Yes.
They're not.
Well, and they're
not really control. They fall more to the automation side.
Right.
Than the control side.
Right. And items like that, again, if you're a DIY user, if you do it, you know, you build your own systems and whatnot, or maybe you're not an integrator or a dealer or something like that, but you do the integration or you do the
cool.
automation stuff. Yeah, we would love to hear it. Let's be honest, the automation world and the control world is open now to the average consumer.
Now, do you realize that our industry started because of hobbyists?
This is true. Yes.
The automation as we know it started because of hobbyists wanting to do things with even going back pre-X10.
Right. So yeah, let us know about all of that, and also let us know if you have any ideas for any show topics that you'd like us to talk about, or anything else like that. We would love to hear from you on that. But I think that
please give us some ideas, please.
And everybody, thank you so much as always. Brent, do you have anything else to add for today's show?
Yes. Reboot early.
Almost. So we are come back this Friday, where we're going to be talking about probably one of our surveillance systems. In fact, I think we're talking about one of our.
Now we have automation in our SpyClops surveillance systems.
Yes, we do, and I wanted to talk about that.
Because we can do a lot with that.
Yes, we actually have I/O on our SpyClops Pro system,
which is a great way to interface with your control system to create automation.
Yes, it is. So everybody, come back on Friday at 3 p.m. where we'll talk about one of our SpyClops Pro NVRs, and we'll be able to show you where that automation is at on the device itself and show you kind of what it looks like.
And so if you're a Control 4 dealer, how to connect it.
Yeah, how to get connected to it, or Crestron for that matter. It's
it's
I/O basically.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Yeah. But everybody, thank you so much for checking in with us today. As always, like, share, subscribe, share this video out with everybody. We would appreciate it. Again, if you have ideas for what we are trying to accomplish with automation stuff, let us know. Let us know what you think on automation and how it can be used better, and how to incorporate multi-person
automations. Are you doing any of it for health related?
Ooh, yeah, good thinking.
That's a growing field.
Yeah, actually, I have seen that. There is a growing field for those like tiny homes where you can have an elderly parent or somebody stay in the tiny home. You
realize how close I am to that,
I understand.
Right?
Yes, I do. Oh, there goes that thing again. I got to find a better solution for that. But the automation that's in the home, we probably could have just a button
instead of control.
Yeah. So with that, what they'll do is they'll have sensors and stuff. Now, a thing like that is usually just like a notification automation to where they just get notified that, yep, they're up, or no, they haven't moved.
Let's face it, I'm old, I could fall out of the bed, and it's good to know.
Well, and that's the idea. There's like a motion sensor along the floor that detects when they're up and out of bed, and making sure that they've opened the fridge every, a couple times a day, items like that. And that is a growing field of automation. And opportunity for you guys out there in the wild that are doing automation systems. If you run into something like that, that could be something that you could offer for them. So take a look at that. There's even pressure pads for like seats. So if someone has been sitting in a seat for too long, you can get a notification. It like when you sit down, it starts a timer. And if someone's been sitting for too long, you can get a notification. And you can trigger automation. Turn on the lights, full blast to get them to wake up. Yeah, do whatever it is, get them to get up and move or whatever, things like that.
Klaxon, wake them up.
Yeah, of course. So I think that'll do it for us today.
Well, in that case,
Yeah.
I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Turn off CEC.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Call tech support.
Call text.
Have a great week and see us on Friday.
We'll see y'all later.
Thank you.
Where's my button? There it is.
Ooh.
Did I do it right?
No.
No.
There you go.
There it goes. I did it too late.
There it goes.
Ah, well, we'll get it.
Why is it just? I am way, way, way down there.
It's an order of importance.
I can't argue.
Bye, everybody.